Today I'm going to be talking about how to start an online business here in the UK. Now, this video is actually based off of not just my own experience as a business owner here in the UK, but I'm also going to be sharing many things that I have learned as a result of working with other business owners here in the UK. And I'm hoping that once you've actually concluded this video, you will be able to get some tips that can help you go along to actually start your business, whether that's an online business, a product-based business, even a service business. All of these tips are very, very easily applicable to any business you wish to start, irrespective of your location. So the first thing you're going to want to do to start your business is to create a business plan. Now, what's a business plan? A business plan is basically a document that is the foundation of what exactly your business needs to achieve. Okay. Really, it should at the very minimum contain some very, very basic components. Some of these components include, but is not limited to, number one, your market analysis. What does the market look like for that product or service that you're looking to offer? What are your competitors doing? You need to learn a lot about the market behind that particular product or that particular service that you're looking to offer. And this is a common area that I see many new entrepreneurs especially failing to do, but yet it is so important, because without your market research, you're really just planning to fail on that business. The second component of your business plan, ideally, if you're looking to create just a very basic business plan, needs to include what the financial projections for that business is going to look like. Especially if you're someone who you're starting this business, but you're actually looking to get some funding from investors or from, banks, other financial institutions in order to get that business up and running. You will need to show within your business plan what the financial projections of that business is looking like. So at the basic level, this should be looking at your components of your financial statement. So we're talking your balance sheet, your profit and loss, and your cash flow statement. What does this look like over the next 3 to 5 to even 10 years down the line? I appreciate when you first start your business, you're not going to have all the figures, or rather, you're really just going to be making projections, okay? Hence why I called it financial projections. So it's going to really be an estimate at the very start. Now, another point I want to add here is before you go ahead thinking, yes, that's it, Tess, I'm done. I've done my business plan. What do I do next? I need to let you know that your business plan is not simply a one-off documentation that you create and forget. Your business plan needs to be an iterative document, okay? Which basically means it's a document you will need to keep coming back to make changes over time. So let's say if you have a business plan that you've drawn up at the start of your business, you need to make sure that as a minimum every year, you are going back to look at that business plan, check what's working, check what needs to be modified in order to make sure that that business plan still remains valid for the purpose of running and sustaining your business. Now, another component to make sure is in your business plan needs to be something around your products or your service line. What products or services, or a combination of both, are you looking to offer? What is your target audience for that product or service? How is that product or service going to fit in line with the current market demands? Okay, so again, some of this is going to tie back into what your market research and your market analysis was actually aimed at getting. Okay, now I do have a free business plan template which I'm going to leave down in the description box below, so feel free to download that, and that will give you some other bullet points and things to think about when you're looking to write your very first business plan. The next step you're going to want to take is to actually identify your business structure. Now, if you watch my videos a lot, you will know that I talk a lot about the various types of business structures that a business owner can basically adopt when they're looking to start a business here in the UK. Now, running an online business in the UK is going to be no different, in the sense that you are still going to need to adopt one or more of these business structures that I'm about to go through. Now, in the UK, if you're looking to run your business, whether it's online or not, there's generally 3 different business structures that you can take in order to achieve that. The first is going to be running your business as a sole trader, okay? The second option you have is running your business through a UK limited company, which invariably seems to be one of the most common business structures that many entrepreneurs use in order to run their businesses. A third option, depending on what your situation is, might be to actually run your business through what we call a limited liability partnership. Now, there is no right or wrong business structure, okay? It really boils down to what your personal objectives are as a business owner, what it is you want to do with your business in the next, say, 3 to 5 years. It also actually depends a little bit on what your tax situation currently looks like. Are you a resident of the UK? Are you a non-resident of the UK? Now, I appreciate there's so many things to think about when it comes down to thinking about the perfect business structure that you should adopt when running your business. If you're unsure, then please do speak to an accountant to get the best advice for your particular situation. And point number 3 is going to be in relation to research. Okay, now I did, of course, mention just how important market research is at the very start of this video. However, I also understand that this particular area is something that many new entrepreneurs might struggle with. So I'm going to use this point to elaborate on this a little bit more. Now, when it comes to researching, your business idea, I think, in my opinion, there are really 3 key fundamental things you want to think about. Okay, if you're a new entrepreneur, no experience whatsoever, it's a very new idea, and you just want something quick and you want to be able to hit the ground running with this business idea. So the 3 key points you want to think about when it comes to research around that particular business idea is going to be, 1, you want to research price. Okay, so pricing is going to be point number 1 here. Pricing, in the sense that you want to have a clear idea of roughly what your product or what your service costs, okay, out there in the marketplace. What are other competitors charging? What are other people who are within your line of the business charging? And how does that resemble, or how does that differentiate from the price that you are looking to set for your product? Pricing is very important. You don't want to just choose an abstract price from thin air, because you're going to need to cover your overheads. You're going to need to cover other types of costs in relation to actually running your business. So your price really needs to be on point here. So again, this is why I stress about research so much. The next thing you want to do is to think about surveys. Now, many people don't think about this at all. They start their business and they just go head in, and then they expect the best. But you want to try, where possible, to actually do a survey on that product or, on that service that you are looking to provide. This could be as basic as simply, renting out some space, as maybe in the library or even an outdoor space, and inviting a group of, say, 10 to 15 candidates, asking them to give you their honest feedback or review on one of the products that you are looking to sell, okay, that you are looking to actually launch. Another way you could do this is by basically giving people, some sort of an incentive in order to purchase that product, maybe at a significantly lower price, like an introductory price, in exchange for them to give you their honest review about that product. And I think this can be very valuable for many reasons. 1, you're going to get an appreciation very early on of whether or not this product is going to work in the marketplace. You're also going to be able to take on board those reviews, that feedback that you've gotten before the launch of the product, and you're going to be able to make more changes to that product so that by the time that product launches, you are in the best possible scenario to actually ensure that that product is successful within the marketplace. The next key point to think about when you're looking at research is going to be the product itself, okay? So this should really be focused on how well this product is actually going to do in the marketplace. Some of the factors to consider here needs to look at the design of the product. How does the product differentiate itself from what is out there, with other competitors? Also, talking about the survey that you ran earlier on, you want to take on board some of the feedback from your survey and actually use to implement it when you are looking at this particular area within the research points, i.e. under the products analysis, okay? So what can you differentiate about the product that is going to actually help your particular product stand out in the marketplace? It might be that your product, actually serves a very niche market, a very niche group. It might be that the way it is that you're going to manufacture that product and sell it means that you're able to actually sell it at the lowest price possible, maybe because the cost to make that product is very, very low. It really just depends on your particular product idea, your particular service idea, but there's a lot of things that you could think about around this particular bullet point when it comes to the research around the product itself. The next point to think about is going to be business funding. Now, irrespective of the business you're looking to run, in many, many cases, most people will inevitably have to think about how exactly they are going to fund that particular business idea. There are many options to consider depending on how much capital your business obviously needs, okay? And I would always stress that regardless of what particular option you go with, it's always a good idea to make sure at the very start of your business you are looking to bootstrap, okay? You are trying to do many things as much as possible at the lowest possible price, or where possible, you are actually even able to do those tasks yourself, which in the long run will help you save money or not need as much capital starting that particular business. Now, when it comes to the funding options that you might want to consider, the first is going to be, what savings do you have? Okay, what particular savings do you have that you are able to loan to that business as business capital to get that business up and running? Your second option might be to think about you actually getting a loan off of your family and your friends. Depending on how lucky you are, of course, this particular loan may or may not have an interest attached to it. And if it does, it might very well be much lower than what you might get if you were to get a business loan. Your third option is going to be to think about actually getting a business loan from a bank. Sometimes this can be much harder than it looks. And this is because for many people, when they start a business, they don't have any history, okay? By they, I mean the business itself doesn't actually have any history in terms of their financial, characteristics. Are they a good business to loan to and things like that? So it might be very hard for you to secure a business loan at first. Another option to consider is going to be grant funding. Now, grant funding typically will be applicable for businesses that have been running not more than 2 to 3 years. It depends on who the person is or who the company is that is issuing the grant. But there are lots of different options that you can choose from when it comes to securing business funding to actually help you get this business up and running. Next thing you want to think about is your business finances. Now, on this point, I really need you to think about how exactly you are going to keep a record of the business's transactions, okay? You don't want to start thinking about this 1, 2, 3 years down the line. You want to think about this before you actually start that business, because in the long run, it's going to be very important for you to be aware of what particular transactions relate to the business and what particular transactions relate to you personally as the business owner. Now, the best way to do this obviously is to look at opening a business bank account that will help to keep all the relevant records for your income and for your expenses. Going further, you should definitely think about having some kind of a financial tracker, okay? A financial tracking tool that can actually take on board those transactions that you have within your business, populate it, and give you a quick analysis of how your business is performing. Now, we sell trackers like this on our website, so I'll be sure to leave the links to those trackers in the description box below. Your tracker should be able to, at the very minimum, analyze how your business has been performing over the last quarter or indeed over the last 6 months. Sometimes you can also have trackers that can go as far as 3 to 5 years. This will also be very good when it comes to you actually reviewing what your financial projections look like for the business in the long term. So there's very many reasons why I encourage many new entrepreneurs to think long and hard about the method they are going to use in order to actually record the transactions of their business finances, because you don't want to leave it too late. You don't want to get to the point where you are looking to get a grant or you're looking to get a loan, and then the investor is actually saying, "Hi, I'd like to see your figures," and you're like, "What? They're all over the place." You do not want to do that. And you certainly don't want to get to the end of the tax year and not have your figures clear in your mind, because the last thing you want is for an authority like HMRC to come at you questioning a bunch of figures and you don't have the evidence to support what it is that you are claiming. Now let's talk about branding for a second, because branding is definitely one of those things that you will definitely need to think about, okay? And I usually try to advocate that you should think about your branding at the early stages of your business rather than something that is an afterthought after actually starting the business, okay? Now, your branding could be as basic as you having consistent sets of colors, that you use on your website, on your platform. It can also be as basic as you having a particular logo that, is embedded on your products or things like your invoices. It really just depends on how you want to actually have your customers perceive your business branding. In what ways do you want your customers to remember you, to remember your product, okay? We can't talk about starting an online business without talking about choice of platforms. Now, first things first is your choice of platform is going to be heavily determined by your target audience. Where are you going to find your target audience? What age group is your target audience in? So this all kind of comes back to part of the market research that we spoke about earlier in this video. Okay, so if the product that you're selling is aimed at under 18s, for instance, or is the product that you're selling aimed at those between 18 and 30, it's going to be important for you to actually, categorize your target audience in terms of their age group and in terms of where it is you think that particular audience is likely to hang out, and actually find your products. So for instance, if you're looking to target maybe more or less a more mature audience, you might want to use a platform like YouTube, okay, where you have a much higher chance of securing a much older audience. Of course, you can also reach the younger audience on YouTube, but in my opinion and in my experience, if you have a product or a service that you're selling that is more or less aimed at a younger audience profile, then using a platform like TikTok as a first choice would definitely help you. And if that fails, I would definitely try a platform like Instagram. Now, once you've been using the social media platforms for a minimum of say 3 to 6 months, I would definitely suggest that, you should start thinking about actually creating a website, okay, for your business. A website will inevitably give you more control over the products and services that you're selling. It will give you more control generally over the business that you're running, because the last thing you want is to have your products, have all your audience just on social media platforms. And if something happens to, your YouTube channel or your Instagram account, that's it. You know, your entire business shuts down. So I would always advise that once you've been running your business for a while, maybe a year, max a year and a half, you should be thinking about having a website of your own where you can link all your products, all your services to, and your website will also be a way for people to find you when they are using researching platforms like Google, for instance, or even Yahoo. So that's definitely one point to think about well before you actually launch your business. If you've made it this far into the video, well done, because I'm going to be sharing with you some bonus points, and I think it's very important that you listen carefully to these points. The first point I'm going to be sharing is don't ever start a business ideally where you need to raise money in order for that business to be successful. From experience, I've seen that a lot of people that need money or an influx of cash in order to actually have that business idea be successful generally will not make a success of it unless they have heavy financial backing from maybe their parents, or they have someone who has been very generous to actually support them with lots and lots of money to get that business off the ground. Ideally, a rough range that you should think about if you're someone who wants to start your business is try to keep the startup cost low. Okay, so think about business ideas that you are looking at, say ideally nothing to spend right up to maybe max £10,000. Okay, that might even be stretching it, to be very honest, because you really want to make sure that this business is, you know, has a good chance of actually working out. The second bonus point I want to share with you is to make sure that you choose a business model where you don't need to necessarily hire full-time experts. You are just starting that business. If you have to hire full-time experts, then that is going to cost you quite a bit of money, okay? And that is obviously going to eat up a lot of the funding that you're using to actually get this business off the ground. So when you're thinking about your business idea, ideally try and look at business ideas where quite a bit of what you need to get the business up and running does not necessarily require the expertise of having full-time or even part-time expertise, because you are going to need to pay for that experience, okay? Third point that I want to quickly share with you is going to be to choose a business model that you can very easily hit the ground running with, okay? We're talking about a business idea that you can hit the ground running with within maximum 3 to 6 months. Now, I'm saying you can hit the ground running within 3 to 6 months, but it's important to realize that when most people start their business idea, they are usually new to the world of business anyway. So you want to make sure that even when you're going to fail, you're failing quick, okay? And by failing here, I'm really putting failure in asterisks here, because by failing, you are gaining experience, okay? So failure is not necessarily failure in that you will never make it. It's more failure in the sense that you are going to learn from what has worked and what has not worked. After watching this video, I think a good video to watch next is going to be this video right here, where I share all my best tips and advice for those who are looking to start a business here in the UK. Click here to watch it now.